The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning in April 2089. It came without warning, silently sliding into position above North America. Within minutes, every military base worldwide went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled into the air. Missile systems locked onto the strange vessel that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. Admiral Samuel Carter stood in the Pentagon war room, watching the screens with narrowed eyes. At 62, he had served in the Navy for over 4 decades. Nothing in his experience had prepared him for this moment. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said a young officer. "The message is in English." "Put it through," Samuel ordered. The screens flickered. A tall, thin being appeared. Its skin was pale blue with faint patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Large black eyes dominated a narrow face. When it spoke, its mouth barely moved. "People of Earth, we are the Vexteri of the Galactic Confederacy. We come in peace and friendship. We invite your leaders to meet with us to discuss your world joining our community of civilizations." 24 hours later, Samuel found himself aboard a shuttle rising through the atmosphere alongside diplomat Lisa Morrison. Lisa clutched her tablet tightly, reviewing notes on first contact protocols that until yesterday had been theoretical. "You think they're really friendly?" she asked quietly. Samuel shrugged. "We'll find out soon enough." The shuttle docked with the alien vessel. When the doors opened, they were greeted by 2 Vexteri. The aliens were taller than humans by almost a foot. "Welcome," said the one wearing an elaborate collar. "I am Ambassador Zixel. We are pleased you accepted our invitation." Lisa stepped forward. "Thank you for reaching out to us. I am Lisa Morrison, representing the United Earth Government, and this is Admiral Samuel Carter of our Defense Forces." The ambassador's eyes flicked to Samuel. "Ah, a military man. How quaint. Well, you will be most impressed by what you see today." They were led through corridors of shimmering material that seemed both solid and flowing. Samuel noticed everything: the doorways, the technology, the few weapons visible on the guards. He committed it all to memory. In a large chamber, they were shown holograms of the Confederacy, hundreds of worlds spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. The Vexteri explained their faster-than-light travel, their medicine that had conquered aging, their energy sources that made fossil fuels look like burning sticks. "And what can Earth offer the Confederacy?" asked Zixel, his tone suggesting he expected very little. "We are still developing," Lisa said carefully, "but humans are quick learners and hard workers." The second Vexteri, who had introduced himself as Science Director Trelvin, made a sound like a sniff. "Your species has spent much of its history fighting amongst yourselves. We have studied your broadcasts. So much violence." Samuel spoke for the first time. "We protect what matters to us." Ambassador Zixel waved a long-fingered hand. "No need for that now. The Confederacy will protect you. Your primitive weapons would be useless against true threats that exist in our galaxy. But do not worry. As a developing species, you will be under our guidance." Samuel and Lisa exchanged glances. Under the table, Lisa's hand formed a signal they had agreed upon earlier: "Proceed with caution." "We are honored by your offer," she said. "Earth would be pleased to join your confederacy as we learn more about each other." Later, as they returned to Earth, Samuel looked out the shuttle window at the alien ship. "They think we're children," he muttered. Lisa nodded. "Let them think that for now. Should we tell them about the Mars fleet?" "Not yet," Lisa said firmly. "The President agrees. Let's see what this confederacy is really about first." Samuel thought about the ships hidden in the underground hangars of Mars and the asteroid belt. Vessels humanity had been building in secret for decades, just in case first contact wasn't friendly. Ships that could fight. "They called our weapons primitive," he said quietly, "but they haven't seen our battleships." 6 months passed since first contact. Earth joined the Galactic Confederacy as a developing member. Vexteri ships came and went freely, bringing alien visitors who stared at humans like they were zoo animals. They traded some basic technology, medical tools, better solar cells, and faster computers, but nothing military. Nothing that could make Earth strong. Commander Alan Wright watched from his office window as another alien shuttle landed at the new Confederacy Embassy in Washington. At 45, Alan had spent 20 years in the Navy before being chosen for this special assignment. Learn everything possible about alien military technology. His phone rang. "Commander Wright," he answered. "They've called a meeting," said Major Olivia Perez, his colleague from the Air Force. "The Vextari want to talk about something urgent. We need to be there in 30 minutes. Alan found Olivia waiting outside the embassy. She was short, with dark hair pulled back tightly, and always looked ready for a fight. "Any idea what this is about?" he asked. She shook her head. "But 3 new ships arrived last night. Big ones." Inside, they were led to a conference room where several humans and aliens already sat. Ambassador Zixel stood at the front, his blue skin looking paler than usual. "Thank you for coming," the alien said. "We have important news to share with our Earth friends." The lights dimmed. A hologram appeared showing a star map. "The Confederacy has been fighting a war for the past 20 Earth years," Zixel said, "against an enemy we call the Scourge." Images flashed of strange ships, black with spikes and red glowing parts. Then came pictures of destroyed planets and dead aliens. "The Scourge destroys everything in their path," continued Zixel. "No negotiation, no mercy." Alan leaned forward. "This is the first we're hearing about this war." Zixel made the whistling sound that humans had learned was their version of a sigh. "We did not wish to alarm your young species, but the situation has changed." Another alien, General Krelvon of the Confederacy Defense Force, stepped forward. "The Scourge have altered their course. Our projections show they will reach your solar system within 2 years." The room went silent. "We are here to help you prepare," Zixel said. "The Confederacy protects its members. But we will need your help too. Your resources, your people." "As soldiers?" Olivia asked sharply. General Krelvon nodded. "Your species shows remarkable aggression. This could be useful." Alan caught Olivia's eye. They had the same thought. "The aliens wanted cannon fodder." "We have invited you to a defense summit next month," Zixel said, "on our central world. There we will discuss how Earth can contribute to the war effort." After the meeting, Alan and Olivia walked to a secure room they knew was free of alien listening devices. "They're losing this war," Olivia said. "Did you see how nervous they looked?" Alan nodded. "And now they want us to help." "With what?" "Sticks and stones. They've given us nothing to fight with." Olivia paced the small room. "They still think we're primitive." Alan thought for a moment. "Maybe that's good. The enemy of your enemy can be your friend, but only if they respect you." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time to show them what humans can really do." He pulled out his secure phone and dialed a number only 5 people on Earth knew. "Admiral Carter." "It's right. We need to activate Project Beehive." "Yes, sir. The full fleet." He hung up and looked at Olivia. "We're going to that summit, but not alone. Earth will join this war, but on our terms." "How long until the ships are ready?" Olivia asked. "Most are already operational, hidden in the asteroid belt and on Mars. The Admiral says we can have 20 battleships ready in 3 weeks." Olivia smiled for the first time that day. "I can't wait to see their faces when they realize what we've been hiding." "Let them think we're weak for now," Alan said. "The surprise will be worth it." Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden inside a hollowed-out space rock designated only as Base Alpha, Navy Captain Grace Rodriguez watched her crew prepare humanity's greatest secret. The massive hangar stretched for miles inside the asteroid. Powerful lights shone down on the largest ship in Earth's hidden fleet, the U.S. Defiant. "Status report," Grace called to her second-in-command. Lieutenant Jeff Burns looked up from his tablet. Main guns tested and ready. Shield systems at full power. Engine room reports all systems green. Grace nodded with satisfaction. The Defiant was over 2 kilometers long, a true battleship designed with one purpose: to protect Earth from any threat. For 50 years, since the first signs of alien radio signals were detected, humanity had been preparing in secret. "And the rest of the fleet?" she asked. 19 ships ready to launch on your command," Jeff replied. "The Apollo and the Orion just finished their final weapon tests. The Lincoln is loading the last of its fighter craft now." Grace looked through the observation window at the Defiant. Its dark hull was covered with massive gun turrets, missile bays, and fighter launch tubes. Most impressive was the main cannon running along the ship's spine, a weapon that could destroy a small moon. The intercom buzzed. "Captain, Engineer Daniels requests your presence in Bay 4. She found Frank Daniels elbow deep in what looked like glowing blue jelly. Frank was 60, with wild gray hair and hands covered in burn scars from decades of working with experimental technology. "Good timing, Captain," he said with a grin. "Just installing the final piece." "What is it?" Grace asked, looking at the strange material. "Something special we reverse-engineered from that crashed Vexteri scout ship back in '76. Frank carefully closed the panel he was working on. "They don't know we have this technology. It will double our shield strength and cut through their defenses like butter." "Will it work against these Scourge ships too?" Frank shrugged. "Theory says yes, but we won't know until we try it in battle." Grace's communicator beeped. "Captain Rodriguez, secure transmission from Earth," said a voice. In her private quarters, Grace accepted the call. Admiral Samuel Carter's face appeared on screen. "Grace, how's our fleet looking?" "Ready to fly, sir. Just finishing the last upgrades now." Samuel nodded. "Good. We've received more information about this summit. The Confederacy is gathering ships from all their member worlds, over 300 vessels." He paused. "But from what we've learned, none of them match our battleships in firepower." "Do we have friends out there, sir?" Grace asked. "Or are we alone in this fight?" "Not entirely alone. One of the Vexteri, a scientist named Mrelli, has been secretly helping us. He believes his people have become too dependent on diplomacy and forgotten how to fight properly. He thinks Earth might save them from the Scourge." Grace considered this. "Can we trust him?" "He's provided valuable intelligence so far. Says the Vexteri and the other Confederacy races are losing because they're fighting defensively. The Scourge keep advancing because no one hits them hard enough to make them stop. That's not how humans fight wars," Grace said. Samuel smiled slightly. "Exactly. And that's why you're launching tomorrow. The Defiant will lead our fleet to the rendezvous point near Jupiter, where Commander Wright and Major Perez will join you aboard. Then you'll proceed to the coordinates for the summit. Under cloak." "Yes. No one sees our ships until I give the order." Grace straightened her uniform. "Understood, sir. We won't let Earth down." After the Admiral signed off, Grace returned to the hangar. She looked again at the massive battleship. 20 ships like this, each carrying enough firepower to level continents. Built in secret while the world went about its normal business. Built because humanity had always known this day might come. "Attention all crews," she announced over the intercom. "Prepare for launch in 6 hours. We're going to show the galaxy what humans can do." The central world of the Galactic Confederacy was called Nexus. It was a planet with 3 moons and rings like Saturn. Hundreds of ships from different alien races floated in orbit, gathered for the Emergency Defense Summit. In a large round meeting hall, representatives from 32 worlds sat at a circular table. Commander Alan Wright and Major Olivia Perez represented Earth. They looked small compared to the various aliens around them. General Krelvan, the Vexteri military leader, stood to address the gathering. His blue skin looked dull under the bright lights. "The Scourge have destroyed 3 more worlds since our last meeting," he said. "Their main fleet is now here." A hologram appeared showing a red dot moving through the galaxy. They will reach populated systems within 30 days. A tall, insect-like alien spoke next. We have lost 5 more battle cruisers trying to slow them down. Our best weapons barely damaged their ships. Murmurs of fear spread through the room. Alan caught Olivia's eye. They had timed this perfectly. Perhaps our new members have suggestions. General Krelvon turned to Alan and Olivia. His tone was polite but dismissive. Earth has a unique history of warfare, primitive though it may be. Alan stood up slowly. Thank you, General. Before we offer suggestions, we'd like to introduce someone. The doors opened, and Admiral Samuel Carter walked in. He wore his full dress uniform with all his medals. This is Admiral Samuel Carter, commander of Earth's Space Forces, Alan said. The Vextari looked confused. We were not informed of this addition, said Krelvin. My apologies, Samuel said, not sounding sorry at all. I only arrived an hour ago. He looked around the room. I understand you're discussing battle strategies against the Scourge. Yes, said Krelvin, though no disrespect intended. Admiral, Earth has little to offer in terms of military technology. Samuel smiled slightly. Is there somewhere we can view the current fleet? I'd like to see what we're working with. The alien leaders moved to a viewing platform overlooking space. Through the massive windows, they could see the gathered ships of the Confederacy. Most were sleek and elegant, designed for speed and scientific missions. Only a few appeared to be true warships. This is our combined defensive force, said Krelvon with pride. Over 300 ships from all member worlds. Samuel looked unimpressed. Where are your battleships? Battleships. The insect alien tilted its head. We have 20 cruisers with weapons. I see. Samuel pulled out a small device from his pocket. With your permission, I'd like to show you something. Before anyone could answer, he pressed a button. In the empty space beyond the Confederacy fleet, 20 massive ships appeared as if from nowhere. They had been there all along, hidden by cloaking technology. The human ships were huge, dark, and bristling with weapons. The U.S. Defiant was in the center, twice the size of the largest alien vessel. The room went completely silent. The aliens stared with wide eyes and open mouths. May I introduce Earth's contribution to the war effort? Samuel said calmly. 20 battleships, fully armed and ready for combat. Impossible, whispered Krelvin. Your species, you were pre-FTL when we found you. We were cautious, Samuel replied. Earth has faced many threats in our history. We learned to be prepared. A small Vextari scientist pushed forward. Alan recognized him as Mreldi, their secret ally. I told you, Mreldi said to the other aliens. Humans are not what they seem. Those ships, said another alien. The weapons systems. Yes, Samuel said. Our ships carry enough firepower to destroy a small moon. We built them in secret, hidden in our asteroid belt. But why hide them? Asked Krelvin. Olivia answered. Would you have shown all your capabilities to strangers who appeared suddenly above your world? The aliens looked at each other. For the first time, they seemed to truly see humans as equals. Admiral, said Krelvin finally, I believe we should reconsider our strategy against the Scourge. Samuel nodded. That's why we're here. Now shall we begin planning a real defense? 2 weeks after the summit, the combined fleet reached the edge of the Arcturus system. Intelligence reports indicated a Scourge patrol was operating in the area. This would be their first battle together. Lieutenant Nicole Winters stood at her tactical station on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant. At 32, with short blonde hair and sharp green eyes, she was the youngest tactical officer in Earth's fleet. Her job was to manage the ship's weapons systems during combat. Scourge vessels detected, she announced. 5 ships approaching from the 3rd planet. Captain Grace Rodriguez nodded from her command chair. Classification: 3 destroyer class and 2 larger vessels. The larger ones match what the Confederacy calls dreadnoughts. Nicole studied her screens. Their weapons are powering up. Through the main view screen, they could see the scourge ships. They were black with glowing red lines across their hulls, shaped like jagged knives cutting through space. "Open channel to the Confederacy fleet," Grace ordered. General Krelvan appeared on screen. "Captain Rodriguez, the enemy has spotted us. We see them. We'll take the lead on this one," Grace said. "Have your ships form up behind us." The Vextari general looked uncomfortable. "Our standard procedure is to spread out and engage from multiple angles." "With respect, General, that's why you've been losing. Today we try something new." After a pause, Krelvan nodded. "Very well. We will follow your lead." Grace turned to her communications officer. "Signal the fleet. Battle formation Delta." The 20 Earth battleships moved into a tight V-shaped formation with the Defiant at the point. The alien ships of the Confederacy arranged themselves behind the human vessels, protected by their massive bulk. "The Scourge are changing course to intercept," Nicole reported. "They'll be in weapons range in 60 seconds. Launch fighters," Grace ordered. From the sides of each human battleship, small fighter craft poured out. Hundreds of them swarmed into space, forming up into squadrons. Commander Eric Bennett led Blue Squadron, 12 of the best pilots from Earth. His fighter was small and fast, armed with special missiles designed to penetrate alien shields. "Blue Squadron, follow me," he called over the radio. "Target the lead destroyer. Aim for their weapon ports." The human fighters raced toward the enemy, moving in ways the aliens had never seen before, spinning, diving, and changing direction with incredible speed. The Scourge ships fired, their red energy beams cutting through space. But the human fighters were too quick, dodging the attacks while closing in. "Now," Eric shouted. His squadron fired their missiles at once. The weapons struck the lead Scourge destroyer exactly where Eric had ordered, directly into the ship's main weapon ports. Explosions rippled along the enemy vessel. Back on the Defiant, Nicole watched her screens with satisfaction. "Blue Squadron has damaged the lead destroyer. Its weapons are offline." "Perfect," said Grace. "Main batteries, target the dreadnoughts. Fire when ready." The massive guns along the Defiant's hull turned toward the largest Scourge ships. Energy built up, glowing blue at the barrel tips. "Firing," Nicole said. Beams of intense blue energy shot out from the Defiant and the other human battleships. They struck the Scourge dreadnoughts with devastating force. The enemy ship's shields flared and failed. On the Confederacy command ship, the alien leaders watched in amazement. "Such power," whispered Krelvan. Their weapons cut through the Scourge shields as if they weren't there. Reldai, the Vextari scientist who had secretly helped the humans, nodded. "Humans understand something we forgot long ago. In war, hesitation means death. They strike with full force from the beginning." The battle continued for 20 minutes. When it ended, all 5 Scourge ships had been destroyed. The Confederacy fleet had not lost a single vessel. General Krelvan contacted the Defiant again. "Captain Rodriguez, I must congratulate you. This is the first clear victory we have had against the Scourge in over a year." Grace nodded. "Thank you, General. But this was just a patrol. The real test will come when we face their main fleet." "Indeed," said Krelvan. His tone had changed. There was new respect in his voice. Perhaps you would be willing to share your battle tactics with our commanders." "Of course," Grace replied. "That's what allies do." As the communication ended, Nicole looked at her captain. "They're finally starting to get it, aren't they?" Grace smiled slightly. "Yes, they thought we'd be impressed by their technology. Now they're impressed by ours." After 3 more victories against smaller Scourge forces, the combined fleet gathered at a space station near the edge of Confederacy territory. For the first time, they were planning an offensive strike instead of just defending. Chief Communications Officer Maria Garcia sat in a small room surrounded by computers. She had spent the last week studying intercepted Scourge transmissions. At 41, Maria was the best codebreaker in Earth's fleet, with dark eyes that missed nothing and the patience to solve the most difficult puzzles. "I've got it," she said suddenly. She grabbed her tablet and rushed from the room. In the station's main conference room, Admiral Samuel Carter sat with the alien commanders. Captain Richard Gomes, a tall man with broad shoulders, was explaining a new battle plan using a holographic display. "If we position our battleships here," Richard said, pointing to a spot on the map, "we can draw their forces into this area where our fighters can." The door opened and Maria hurried in. "Admiral, I've decoded their communications." Samuel raised an eyebrow. "You can understand their language?" "Yes, sir. It's complex, but I found patterns." Maria connected her tablet to the display. "And I know where they're going next. They're planning to attack the Deneb system in 3 days." The aliens looked shocked. General Krelvon turned to his assistants. "Deneb has 2 inhabited worlds with a combined population of over 3 billion. We must warn them to evacuate." "There's more," Maria added. "This isn't just a raiding party. Based on the communication traffic, I believe this is their main staging area. Their central fleet is gathering there." Richard studied the new information. "This changes things." He looked at Admiral Carter. "Sir, I think we should hit them directly. Take the fight to them before they can attack Deneb." "A direct assault?" Krelvon looked alarmed. "Their main fleet could have hundreds of ships." "Which makes this the perfect opportunity," Richard argued. "They don't know we can understand their plans. We have the element of surprise." Samuel considered this. "What kind of approach do you suggest, Captain?" Richard adjusted the hologram, showing a new formation. "We use the human battleships as the spearhead, in a wedge formation. The Defiant leads, with our other ships forming the point of the wedge. The Confederacy vessels provide support and target any ships that try to flank us." Krelvon shook his head. "Too risky. We would be outnumbered." "Numbers aren't everything in war," Richard replied. "It's about position, timing, and hitting where it hurts most." The debate continued until a new voice joined the conversation. Dr. Heather Wilson had been sitting quietly in a corner. As the fleet's leading xenobiologist, she had been studying everything they knew about the Scourge. "There's something you should know about the Scourge psychology," she said. Everyone turned to look at her. "From the bodies recovered after our battles, I've determined they have a hierarchical mental structure. They cannot function well without direct commands from their leaders." "How does that help us?" asked an alien commander. "If we can identify and destroy their command ships, the rest will become disorganized." Heather pointed to Richard's wedge formation. "This plan could work if we focus our main firepower on their flagship. Cut off the head, and the body will fall." Samuel looked at Krelvon. "Well, General, are you willing to try it?" The Vextari was silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "My people have been fighting defensively for too long. Perhaps it is time we learned from humans how to take the offensive." "Then it's settled," Samuel said. "We leave for the Scourge staging area in 6 hours. All ships will be briefed on the new battle plan." As the meeting ended, Richard approached Maria. "Good work with the code breaking. That information changes everything." "Thanks," she replied. "But I'm worried. Even with our battleships, this will be the biggest fight we faced." Richard nodded grimly. "I know. But we have to hit them hard now, while we have the chance. Otherwise, they'll keep coming, world after world." Maria thought about Earth, so far away but still in danger. "Do you think we can win?" "I think," Richard said carefully, "that the Scourge are about to learn why throughout human history it's been a very bad idea to make enemies of us." The combined fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Deneb sector. Through the view screen of the U.S. Defiant, they could see the Scourge fleet gathered around a large space station. The enemy ships numbered over 200, with dozens of the knife-shaped dreadnoughts among them. "They haven't spotted us yet," said Lieutenant Nicole Winters from her tactical station. "Our cloaking technology is holding." Captain Grace Rodriguez nodded. Good. Status of all ships. Human fleet reports ready, said Jeff Burns, her second in command. Confederacy vessels are in position behind us. Grace opened a channel to all ships. This is Captain Rodriguez. In 5 minutes, we drop our cloaks and begin our attack run. Remember the plan. The human battleships will punch through their formation directly toward their command ship. Confederacy vessels target any ships that try to flank us. All fighters will launch once we're engaged. Science Officer Daniel Patel spoke up from his station. Captain, I've analyzed the Scourge space station. I found something interesting. He sent data to the main screen. See this section here. These energy readings suggest it's their main power core. It's poorly shielded compared to the rest of the station. Grace studied the information. You're right. That's a vulnerability. She opened a channel to Admiral Carter on the flagship. Admiral, Science Officer Patel has identified a weakness in the Scourge station. We should target it during our attack. Good work, Samuel replied. I'll inform the fleet. Carter out. Grace turned to her bridge crew. Battle stations. Prepare to decloak on my mark. Throughout the human battleships, crews moved to their positions. Weapons systems powered up. Fighter pilots climbed into their craft. 3 minutes to engagement, announced Jeff. In his fighter, Commander Eric Bennett checked his systems one last time. His squadron would be among the first to launch when the battle began. Blue Squadron, sound off, he called over the radio. Each of his pilots responded, ready for combat. On the Confederacy command ship, General Krelvon watched with a mixture of anxiety and hope. The humans' plan is bold, he said to Mrilda. I'm still not certain it will work. They understand something we forgot, Mrilda replied. Sometimes the only way to win is to risk everything. 1 minute, Jeff announced on the Defiant. Grace took a deep breath. Decloak all ships. Full power to forward shields. Ahead full. The human battleships appeared in space, arranged in their wedge formation with the Defiant at the point. Immediately, they accelerated toward the Scourge fleet. For a moment, nothing happened. The enemy ships seemed frozen in surprise. Then, as one, the Scourge fleet began to move, turning to face the unexpected threat. They're powering weapons, Nickel reported. Fire main batteries, Grace ordered. All ships, commence attack. 20 human battleships fired their massive weapons at once. Blue energy beams cut through space, striking the first line of Scourge vessels. Several enemy ships exploded immediately. The battle had begun. Fighters launched from both sides, swarming through space like angry insects. Eric led Blue Squadron straight toward a group of Scourge destroyers. Target their weapon systems, he ordered. Quick strikes, don't stay in one place. The human fighters moved with incredible speed and precision, hitting the enemy ships and darting away before they could be targeted. On the Defiant, Daniel monitored the battle from his science station. Captain, I'm tracking the enemy command ship. It's moving to the center of their formation, trying to hide. Not going to happen, Grace said. Adjust course. All ships, follow the Defiant. We're going after their leader. The human battleships plowed forward, absorbing incredible damage but pushing deeper into the enemy fleet. The Confederacy ships followed in their wake, protecting their flanks. Lieutenant Commander Paul Rivera commanded the U.S. Lincoln, one of the smaller battleships in the human fleet. His ship took heavy fire from 3 Scourge dreadnoughts. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, reported his damage control officer. Shields failing. Paul made a quick decision. Set course directly for the Scourge command ship. Full speed. Sir, his navigator questioned. That's suicide. Just do it, Paul ordered, and evacuate all crew to escape pods. The damaged Lincoln accelerated, pushing past the enemy ships toward their command vessel. Paul stayed at his post as his crew escaped. For Earth, he whispered as his ship rammed into the Scourge command ship at full speed. The explosion was visible throughout the battlefield. The enemy command ship broke apart, venting atmosphere and debris into space. "The Lincoln is gone," Jeff reported solemnly on the Defiant. Grace nodded sadly. They didn't die in vain. Look. All around them, the Scourge ships were beginning to move erratically, their coordinated attack falling apart just as Dr. Wilson had predicted. "Push forward," Grace ordered. "Target that station. Let's finish this." 3 years had passed since the Battle of Deneb. The Scourge threat was over. After their main fleet and command station were destroyed, their remaining ships had retreated to the edge of the galaxy. 6 months later, they had sent a message asking for peace talks. On the planet Nexus, in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Confederacy, representatives from all member worlds gathered for a special ceremony. The hall was decorated with flags and symbols from every planet, Earth's blue and white flag prominently displayed in the center. Admiral Samuel Carter, now with more gray in his hair, stood near the stage. He wore his formal uniform with new medals that told the story of humanity's role in ending the war. "Nervous?" asked Ambassador Catherine Mitchell, who stood beside him. In her 50s, Catherine had replaced Lisa Morrison as Earth's chief diplomat. With her warm smile and sharp mind, she had helped negotiate the peace treaty with the remnants of the Scourge. "A little," Samuel admitted. "Never thought I'd see a day like this." The hall fell silent as the Confederacy High Council entered. General Krelvan, now Supreme Commander of the Confederacy Defense Force, approached the podium. "Today marks 3 years since the end of the Scourge War," he began. "A threat that nearly destroyed our civilization was stopped because we learned to work together." He looked directly at Samuel. "And because one species taught us how to fight." Krelvan gestured toward the Earth delegation. "When humans joined our confederacy, we thought we were welcoming a young, developing species that needed our protection. We were wrong. They needed nothing from us. Instead, it was we who needed them." Applause filled the hall as Krelvan continued. "Today, we recognize Earth's new status as a senior member of the Galactic Confederacy, and we celebrate the launch of the first ships built through our Joint Defense Initiative." On a large screen, images appeared of new vessels under construction. They combined the elegant lines of Vex-Terry design with the practical power of human battleships. "None of us will forget the sacrifice of the U.S. Lincoln and its brave commander," Krelvan said solemnly, "or the other ships and crews lost in the fight for our freedom. Their memory lives on in our new partnership." After the ceremony, Samuel walked through the halls of the Space Academy that had been built on Nexus. Inside a large training room, he watched as human instructors taught combat tactics to young aliens from dozens of different worlds. "Quite a change," said a voice beside him. Samuel turned to see Mreldi, the Vex-Terry scientist who had secretly helped Earth before the war. "It is," Samuel agreed. 3 years ago, your people thought our weapons were primitive." Mreldi made the whistling sound that was the Vex-Terry version of laughter. "We were foolish. We had forgotten that true strength comes from being ready to fight for what matters." They watched as a young human officer demonstrated fighter maneuvers to a group of eager alien cadets. "Has Earth shared all its military technology now?" asked Mreldi. Samuel smiled slightly. "Almost all." The Vex-Terry nodded, understanding. Some secrets were still worth keeping. Later that day, Samuel stood on an observation deck overlooking the shipyards. The new vessel nearing completion was called the Unity, the first of a new class of ships built by humans and aliens working together. Catherine joined him at the window. "The Scourge are keeping to the terms of the treaty so far," she said. "Their new leadership seems sincere about peaceful coexistence." "Good," Samuel replied. "But we'll stay ready, just in case." "Always the military man," she said with a smile. "Always." He looked out at the stars. "You know, when the Vex-Terry first arrived at Earth, they thought we'd be impressed by their technology, by their ships and their faster-than-light travel. And were you?" Samuel thought about the hidden fleet Earth had built, about the battles they had fought, and about the peace they had won. "It was impressive," he admitted, "but not as impressive as what humans can do when we need to protect our home." He turned away from the window. "Come on. The launching ceremony for the Unity starts in an hour. And this time, we're not hiding our battleships. We're building them together. As they walked away, a group of human and alien children ran past, playing together. One small Vexteri child carried a toy model of the U.S. Defiant. That, Samuel said, pointing to the children, is more impressive than any battleship. Catherine nodded. That's worth fighting for. And worth making peace for, Samuel agreed. He took one last look at the stars. Though I suspect there are more adventures waiting for us out there.